In this video, you will see what is the top 10 must-have units in the new Anime Last Stand Boss Rush update. Every units in this video are all obtainable and not from trading. I do want to know, what do you think is the best unit in this Boss Rush update? Remember to subscribe and like, and with that being said, no particular order, the first must-have unit is Supreme 1. Ainz is one of the newest ultimate unit you can obtain through the Boss Rush, and he became one of the strongest ultimate with his insane ability and passive in this new Anime Last Stand Boss Rush update. Supreme 1 stats a max upgrade and max Valar, 164 million damage with his SP at 11.3 seconds, making his damage per second at 14,513,274. Supreme 1 passive come forth minions. Ainz has a 20% chance to turn the enemy into undead, which scales with his damage. At later upgrades, Ainz will get an ability, Death to All. He will deal 150 times damage in his full AoE after 15 seconds. Okay, next unit is King Pendragon Altar. Saber is one of the best dark element units, especially with their insane cone AoE nuke. King Pendragon Altar stats a max upgrade and max Valar, 27.7 million damage with her SP at 4.1 seconds, making her damage per second at 6,756,097. At later upgrades, Saber will get an ability, Victory Blade. When activated, it will deal 15 billion damage to enemies in a cone AoE. She then buffs her damage by 25% and reduces her SPA by 20% for 60 seconds. King Pendragon Altar passive increases her base crit rate by 50% and increase her crit damage by 150%. Alright, next one is Goku Master Instinct. Goku MUI is one of the best godlies, especially with his team buff, boosting your element penetration damage by 100% in this new Anime Last Stand Boss Rush update. Goku Master Instinct stats a max upgrade and max Valar, 130 million damage with his SP at 5.58 seconds, making his damage per second at 23,297,491, which is extremely meta, especially with his insane team buff. Goku Master Instinct's passive Divine Mastery. He will apply Divine Master to enemies that gets too close to this unit, and at later upgrades, he will get an ability. When having Goku Master Instinct as your leader, he will buff your team's element penetration damage by 100%, which is similar how Perfect Seal work, but is 100%. Meaning, all of your units in your team will always deal 100% more damage against the enemy type, which is insanely overpowered for World 2. How to get Goku SSJBK to evolve him to Goku Master Instinct is from the latest Tournament of Power Tier 5 and Tier 6 portal. And good luck to everyone who is grinding for the newest godly. Okay, next one is Grey Full Power. Grey is one of the best and cheapest units to place and will carry you in everything, which is extremely meta. Grey Full Power stats a max upgrade and max Valar, 28.2 million damage with his burn dealing 33.8 million and his SP at 3.3 seconds, making his damage per second at 18,787,878. At later upgrades, Grey Full Power will get an ability, Meditation. This unit meditates, stopping attacks, but gaining 20% more damage per wave, which has no cap. Buff is lost after one wave passes, damage resets, cooldown resets per wave. Grey Full Power's passive Raw Power. His crit chance will be times 1.4 and times 1.6 crit damage if unit is the only one within his range. If unit has allies / other units in his range, his damage will be lessened by 40%. Alright, next one is Ichigo Moonless Guy. Ichigo is one of the most overpowered godlies, especially he is affordable to place with an insanely strong base stats with his great passive in this new Anime Last Stand Boss Rush update. Ichigo Moonless Guy stats a max upgrade and max Valar, 37.3 million damage with his Dark Flame dealing 179 million, his SP at 9.36 seconds, making his damage per second at 23,108,874. Ichigo Moonless Guy's passive God is Dead. He will increase 10% damage and increase 5% crit chance for all units in his range, which is insanely good, especially he has one of the biggest range, which means he will be able to buff a lot more units. with Ichigo Moonless Guy only being 650 yen to place down, which is extremely strong for caverns, portals, legend stages, and many more. If you have Ichigo Moonless Guy on your first lot, he will be able to buff your whole team by 50% for only the first 5 waves, which is the worst team buff, so I highly recommend to not have him as your leader. Ichigo Moonless Guy's best traits are Glitched, Avatar, and Overlord. Okay, next unit is Strongest Sorcerer Unsealed. Gojo is one of the strongest unit with this low and his insanely meta own placement in this new anime Last Stand Boss Rush update. Strongest Sorcerer Unsealed stats are max upgrade and max Valar, 53 million damage with his SPI at 5.82 seconds, making his damage per second at 9,106,529, which is incredibly overpowered, especially he is already strong with his time stop ability that he gets at later upgrades. At upgrade 3, Gojo will get an unlimited void where you can manually time stop ability and freeze every enemy in his range and can be activated every 25 seconds in 3 times speed, which is insanely strong, especially when you're trying to clutch in those legend stages. At the last upgrade, Strongest Sorcerer Unsealed will get a nuke ability where he will deal 8 billion damage upon activation. Okay, next one is Giorno Requiem. Giorno is one of the newest unit that got another evolution and he became one of the strongest, if not the best, nature with this insane full AoE and ability in this new anime Last Stand Boss Rush update. Giorno Requiem stats are max upgrade and max Valar, 241 million damage with his SPI at 8.3 seconds, making his damage per second at 29,036,144, which is extremely meta, especially he is full AoE with an amazing passive. Giorno Requiem's passive Life Control drain 0.95% of the enemy's max HP every hit, which is insanely meta, and at the same time, he will be able to slow enemies. At later upgrades, Giorno will get an ability 0. Set base HP to 1, send all enemies on map to spawn, slow all enemies down by 90%, and decrease HP of all enemies by 10% after using the ability. He cannot attack for 30 seconds. Alright, next one is Flame Breather Demonic. Rengoku is still one of the best burn unit, especially with his passive flame inflicting 3 times more stronger, which is insanely overpowered. Flame Breather Demonic stats are max upgrade and max Valar, 23.7 million damage with his burn dealing 85.4 million, his SPI at 7.67 seconds, making his damage per second at 14,224,250. Flame Breather Demonic passive Flame Hashira. Rengoku's flames inflicted are 3 times stronger, which is one of the strongest passive. Flame Breather Demonic's ability Demon Burst, Flame Breather transforms and increases DOT damage multiplier to 500%, and this does not stack with the initial 300%. Okay, next one is Black Swordsman Berserk. Guts is one of the best dark units as he will become fully AoE hybrid and will deal hemorrhage damage at later upgrades. Black Swordsman Berserk stats are max upgrade and max Valar, 27.8 million damage with his hemorrhage dealing 39 million and his SPI at 6.81 seconds, making his damage per second at 9,809,104, which is insanely great, especially you can buff his hemorrhage even more with soul once you get to world 2, and at later upgrades he becomes fully AoE, which will be useful for legend stages and caverns. The best traits you can have on Black Swordsman Berserk are Glitched, Avatar, and Overlord. Alright, next unit is Pride the One. Escanor is still the strongest godly and the best unit overall after him getting buffed once again with his DPS, which I recommend players grinding for Escanor in this new anime Last Stand Boss Rush update. Pride the One stats on max upgrade and max level at max buff are 35.5 million damage with his burn dealing 42.6 million and his SPI at 5.09 seconds, making his damage per second at 15,343,811, which is incredibly good, especially at later upgrades. He becomes fully AoE with a huge range, which will carry you in most purgatory caverns. Not only that, it will also help you with your legend stages, especially if you have Pride the One on your first slot. You will be able to buff your whole team by 20%. Pride the One's best traits are Glitched, Avatar, and Overlord. Okay, next one is Rogue Lancer. Lancer is still one of the strongest units, especially with this insane stats, and he has a nuke ability at later upgrades. Rogue Lancer stats a max upgrade and max level are 38.5 million damage with his lightning dealing 13.4 million and his SPA at 3.8 seconds, making his damage per second at 13,657,894, which is extremely meta, especially he becomes fully UE at later upgrades. At later upgrades, Rogue Lancer will get an ability, Guy Bulge. When activated, he will deal 30 billion damage to all enemies in his range. Rogue Lancer's passive, each crit has a 15% more to double crit damage. How to get Rogue Lancer is from completing the latest level 100 battle pass. Alright, next unit is 7th Company Captain Former. Benimaru is one of the strongest affordable dark unit, especially he is a heal unit in this new anime Last Stand Boss Rush update. 7th Company Captain Former stats a max upgrade and max level are 11.2 million damage with his Dark Flame dealing 53.8 million, his SP at 4.19 seconds, making his damage per second at 15,513,126. At later upgrades, Benimaru will deal Dark Flame damage, which is incredibly overpowered for Legend stages, caverns, and many more. How to get 7th Company Captain Former is by summoning on the World 2 Ultimate banner. Okay, next unit is Domination Devil. Makima is one of the newest obtainable ultimate and she became one of the strongest with her insane summoning and stats in this new anime Last Stand Boss Rush update. Domination Devil stats a max upgrade and max level are 86.7 million damage with her SP at 6.2 seconds, making her damage per second at 13,983,870. Domination Devil passive control has a 33% chance of summoning slain enemies with their HP plus units damage. How to get Domination Devil is by summoning on the World 2 Ultimate banner. Alright, next unit is Goku Dark Resentful. Goku Black is the strongest heal unit, especially with his element always dealing 200% more damage against any type of enemy, and at the same time, it's extremely cheap to place in this new anime Last Stand Boss Rush update. Goku Dark Resentful stats a max upgrade and max level are 17.2 million damage with his Dark Flame dealing 75.2 million with his SP at 2.65 seconds, making his damage per second at 34,867,824, which is insanely overpowered, so I highly recommend to get this unit, especially with his insanely strong element always dealing 200% more damage against any type of enemy. Goku Dark Resentful info: after killing a boss, he will gain 25% more damage for 10 seconds. How to get Goku Dark Resentful is from the Raid Central Act 6 and he has a 1% drop chance, but he has a pity where you can get him after 60 raids. Okay, next unit is True Curse King. Sukuna is one of the best damage per second godly with his nuke abilities at later upgrades and team buff in this new anime Last Stand Boss Rush update. True Curse King stats a max upgrade and max level are 27.3 million damage with his Dismantle dealing 62.4 million, his SP at 6.12 seconds, making his damage per second at 14,656,862, which is insanely strong. When having True Curse King as your leader, he will buff your team's range by 35%, which is incredibly good. Do keep in mind they can only have one leader buff by equipping one of the godlies in the first slot. How to get True Curse King is by equipping all of the 7 Deadly Sins Evolve units, Pride Noon, and Megami Evolve, and talk to Sukuna at the summon area at World 2. When done correctly, you should be able to evolve your Sukuna. At the last upgrade, he will get a new manual ability where he will be able to nuke the enemies. Alright, next unit is Pochi Made in Heaven. Pochi is still one of the best obtainable units you can get, especially at later upgrades. It will get an OP ability and will be able to stun both air and ground enemies at later upgrades. Pochi Made in Heaven stats a max upgrade and max level are 22.1 million damage with his SP at 3.99 seconds, making his damage per second at 5.5 million. And at later upgrades, Pochi will get a new ability where it will reset every other unit's cooldown and bring back enemies to spawn, which is extremely strong. Oh my gosh. How to get Pochi Made in Heaven is by getting 3 moon fragments, which will spawn every 24 hours from the last time you picked it up in the Ruined Warrior Legend stage, and will be needing all 3 of the diary page. Pochi Made in Heaven's best traits are Glitched, Avatar, and Overlord. Okay, next unit is Fuse Skai Full Power. Fuse Zamasu is still one of the best nature with his overpowered stats as he becomes fully weak at later upgrades. Fuse Skai Full Power stats at max upgrade and max level are 81 million damage with his SP at 5.93 seconds, making his damage per second at 13,659,359, which is insanely strong, especially he becomes fully weak at later upgrades. How to get Fuse Skai Full Power is by having both Goku Black, which you can get from the raid Central Act 6, and he has a 1% drop chance, but he has a pity where you can get him after 60 raids. You will also need Apprentice Kai Madness, which evolved him from Apprentice Kai, which you can get from the banner too. Fuse Skai Full Power applies fear on enemies, which stuns enemies for 1 second each and deal 10% more damage to them. Alright, next one is King of Heroes Sword of Rapture. Gilgamesh is one of the best light with his cheap placement, high DPS, and nuke ability in this new Anime Last Stand Boss Rush update. Gilgamesh's stats at max upgrade and max level are 166 million damage with his SP at 7 seconds, making his damage per second at 23,714,285, which is extremely strong, especially he gets an ability at later upgrades. At later upgrades, Gilgamesh will get a new ability, Heavenly Sword, which is killing all enemies and will deal 75 billion damage to all enemies on the map. King of Heroes passive, The King. Every 50 kills or assists buffs his damage by 15% and reduces SPI by 10% for 20 seconds. Finally, the last unit is Rukia. Rukia is still one of the best support with their insane passive and damage at later upgrades. Rukia stats at max upgrade and max level are 42.3 million damage with her SP at 5.97 seconds, making her damage per second at 7,885,427, which is insanely strong. How to evolve Riku from Epic to Ultimate is by grinding the latest Wondrous raid in World 2, and I highly recommend getting this unit, especially she is a water unit with an insane passive where she will be able to apply Frostbite to enemies who gets too close. Along with each attack, she will apply Freeze to enemies. Rikukai's best traits are Overlord, Avatar, and Glitch. That was everything for this video on the top 10 must-have units in the new Anime Last Stand Boss Rush update. I hope this video helped you in some sort of way. Remember to subscribe and like, and I will see you in my next one. Bye bye.